Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose, or you can find yourself being told, hey, yo, hold your horses. Stop taking it to the stupid. So Canelo wants the Crawford rematch. But my question is this. Why in the world did you agree to fight Crawford without a rematch clause? Canelo had everything to lose, and he lost it. The face of boxing distinction, undisputed at 168. The things that really mattered to Canelo, he lost it. So I just think when you don't have a rematch clause at that level, I think that equals negotiation failure. But now Canelo's feeling that pressure and he wants to fight Crawford again. And Crawford is already up out of here. Crawford's not trying to continue with the bullshit. He's tired. So I'll tell you what. Canelo allowed the fight contract to be what it was, a one-off fight. Now we know when Turkey's in the house every day is Thanksgiving. Turkey Al-Sheikh may have had something to do with that. Nope, he doesn't do rematch clauses. If there's a demand for it, then we'll do a rematch. And I'll be honest with you, it didn't sound like the boxing fans really cared to see a rematch between Crawford and Canelo. And that's just the reality of the situation. So Canelo now wants a rematch. Crawford got his money and he's out. And Crawford's saying, look, even for $100 million, I ain't coming back to the sport. So when you go and Canelo signs a one-off contract, no rematch clause, that's rare for a superstar. But again, I think Turkey Al-Sheikh had a lot to do with that. But usually the A side protects themselves when they go into these contracts, demanding the rematch rights, controlling options. It makes you wonder what was Canelo thinking when he signed this contract. Did he feel like fighting Crawford would be easy? Which he did say that it would be easy. He thought he was going to win. And his whole thing with his weight class is for a reason, and he probably thought it was going to be another Jamel Charlo type fight, but he learned the hard way, didn't he? I don't understand how a fighter can go into a fight and just feel without even having sparred somebody, just feel like, there's not going to be a need for a rematch clause because I'm going to get in there and I'm going to destroy this person. That just makes no sense to me, man. I just think that's bad when you start mixing overconfidence with business risk. Because now look where Canelo's at now. He out here in the breeze, looking crazy. So I just think what went wrong is he did something that, you want fighters to do. You bet on yourself. And if you win, then boom, you win big. But when you bet on yourself and you lose, you look crazy and shit. You know what I'm saying? Now, he didn't force a rematch clause. A couple reasons why he didn't force a rematch clause is I just think because Crawford, as the undisputed champion at 168, I think he had the momentum, he had the status, and he had the leverage. Canelo didn't want to delay the fight. Promoters wanted it really fast, and Canelo assumed that he was going to win. That's really what I think. And as far as Canelo not wanting to delay the fight, I'll be honest with you. I think Crawford wasn't in a rush to get back in the ring. I think Canelo's the one who was like, no, let's hurry up and make it happen. And one thing we know about Crawford, he's fighting once a year. So he took some time off, thought about what he wanted to do. And after being away from the ring for a while, Crawford just said, I don't want to do it no more. Even Crawford has a lot going on in his personal life. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got time for the bull crap. But Canelo assumed he was just going to win the fight. So psychologically, fighters don't like planning for a loss. Rematch clauses feel like admitting fear. And pride can override business sense. And that may be the real mistake of what happened with Canelo. Now, when he's out there saying, look, I wasn't 100%. That's his complaint. I wasn't 100%. Look, for him to hint that he wasn't fully healthy, He wasn't fully sharp. That was just bad timing. There were things that happened in training camp. His legs, his legs were cramping, or didn't have his legs the whole fight. For him to come out and say that. Now, I know Canelo, right? Canelo gets busy. Canelo is a fighter. He's not going to make excuses. But a lot of the casual fans and even diehard fans, that's what they hear. Here come the excuses. Canelo's in denial. But see, I think fighters experience shock when they lose the way Canelo did, and he doesn't get an opportunity for a rematch. I think he's experienced a bit of disbelief. Like, how did I let this happen to myself? And I think there's a loss of identity. Like, I'm not that guy no more. You know, even though when he went out there to that Ring Awards banquet, people show Canelo love. Everyone knows Canelo is a beast, man. Everyone knows Canelo. He's been the face of boxing. He still is, really. Canelo is that guy. That's why he gets love and respect everywhere he goes, man. And people who've been in the ring with him, they know Canelo is no joke. But after a massive loss, I just think when you're someone like Canelo, your brain starts looking for certain things. Tries to look for injury. Maybe I was injured. Maybe this is why this guy Crawford came in here and was able to beat me the way he did. Starts looking at timing. Maybe I trained too hard too long, or I didn't train enough, or I should have pushed the fight back, or we should have fought sooner. They start looking at maybe I had these distractions going on in my personal life, professional life, and maybe it was the politics of boxing, distractions. They start looking at any and everything except for, you know what, I was just beaten. I was just defeated by the better fighter. You know what I'm saying? And this is just normal human psychology. It's not just ego. A lot of people, when something doesn't go the way they planned, the way they anticipated, you stop and you start reflecting. And you start trying to kind of eliminate the things that you feel could have gone wrong. And really, when you go through and you start to eliminate all these different things, and you probably end up with the realization that, you know what, this person was just the better fighter. You know what I mean? And there is no other reason for you to be in the position you're in as far as when it comes to boxing. You lost because one guy found a way to win and you found a way to lose. And that's just sound harsh as hell, but it's the truth. So what a loss like this does to a superstar like Canelo, look, Canelo is the face of boxing, and definitely the face of boxing for Mexico. He's a national symbol, a champion since the teenage years. So when he loses on the big stage, it's not just personal. It's cultural. It feels like he let his people down. And this can cause guilt, shame, obsession, rumination. And I believe that he's experienced all four of those things, 100%. You could tell from listening to him, he's not just thinking, okay, look, I lost, end of story. Nah, he's thinking, I got to get this rematch for my nation, for Mexico. That's what, when I watch and listen to him, that's what I get off him. He want to get that lick back for the country of Mexico. And when you really peel the layers back even further, maybe Canelo is saying, yo, I got my ass whipped by a smaller man. That wasn't supposed to happen. Because from a fighter's mind, from listening to fighters over the years, size equals power to a lot of fighters. Size should equal dominance. But they know skills pay the bills too. But for the most part, if you have the size, you should have the power, then you should be able to dominate. Because I always say a good big man beats a good small man, right? But when you're the smaller man and you have more skills, and you can think, you have control and patience and discipline, and you're able to outskill a fighter, outdiscipline, outthink, outcontrol a fighter, outpatience a fighter, and you get the victory, it attacks that fighter's masculinity. It makes them feel almost less than a man. It attacks their dominance, and it attacks that mythical aura that surrounds them. Because for Canelo, all that's gone now. Crawford snatched that away from him. When Canelo lost to Bivol, I mean, that was pretty. You could explain that one. But losing to Crawford, most people are like, okay, hold on, this small guy come up here and bing bings you, put the Omaha, Nebraska bing bings on your ass. Who, what, when, where, why, and how did you allow that to happen? That's why I think Canelo, part of him is a bit obsessed about getting Crawford back in the ring. I think he has a need for an explanation and a desire for correction to make, not only to give him peace, but to bring peace to his country of Mexico. That's why I think he wants to rematch so badly. I just think that's why Canelo's out here losing his damn mind right now. He has unfinished emotional business. Even though the fight's over, and Crawford already said, look, ship sail, I'm up out of here. See you in Omaha, Nebraska, mother effers. Y'all ain't getting me back in that ring. But even though the fight it's over, emotionally it's not over for Canelo, and mentally it's not over for Canelo. He wants closure. He wants redemption. He wants proof it was a fluke. You know what I'm saying? But Crawford retiring, it just removes the control, it removes the revenge, and it removes that narrative power. And that frustrates elite competitors deeply. Even me, some days I wonder, man, go back out here and take a little job and see if brain still fire the way it used to, and quick, if I can still retain things, if I can still, answer shit on a dime, if I can recall shit from, almost in chronological order that's happened over the last 5 or 6 years. I used to be really sharp, you know what I mean? My brain, just my mind, because I used to keep up with everything. But I've been retired for almost 8 years now. But there's some times where I still want to know, can I do it? Even though I don't have to, I get that feeling. And I'm sure fighters feel that. And I'm sure that's what Canelo feels like. Yo, I need proof that what happened here was a fluke. But I'll tell you what, he gonna get a reality check real soon, because when Canelo is supposed to return in September, for those who are trying to understand why is he returning in September, got these veins on my arm. Because he has to, and he could be fighting Mbilli. And I tell you what, Mbilli could equal a career maintenance fight. Canelo against Mbilli. I just think that's a very interesting fight for Canelo, because Mbilli's coming nonstop. And, Mbilli is a tough fighter. But it's going to keep Canelo active, going to protect his rankings, keep the money flowing in, and Canelo be fighting for a title. But emotionally, it's not personal. It's not redemptive. This isn't the loss that he wants back. Like, Canelo, deep down, he don't want to fight no damn Mbilli. You know what I'm saying? He want to fight Mbilli as much as he wants to fight David Benavidez. He don't want to mess with them guys. He wants Crawford, and he's not going to get it. So Mbilli feels just like this is just business. It's not healing. It's not going to give me my redemption. This is just a box check. And maybe after that, talk to Turkey. Maybe Turkey will tell Crawford, all right, you won't take $100 million, I'll give you $200 million. Turkey, if the demand for Canelo to fight Crawford really gets to a point to where it's beyond control, it's just really chaotic, Turkey al-Sheikh may do the unthinkable and go to Crawford and say, look, $200 million, you come back now. And he has a one-on-one with Crawford. I think Crawford would take the bait. $200 million is a lot of money. But that's neither here nor there. As of right now, Crawford's not returning. But I tell you what, it's interesting to kind of just observe that relationship between fans and fighters. Because if you listen to fans are thinking, you lost, Canelo, move on. Stop complaining, you're making excuses. You know what I mean? You're making excuses. Crawford whipped your ass. Just go on about your business, But fighters feel a little bit different. They feel regret, shame. I think they feel some confusion. And I think there's an obsession there with just trying to get the lick back. Just sit back and I pay attention to a lot of these fighters. In particular, someone I know is a good example is Deontay Wilder. But in addition to him, a lot of champions and national heroes, they feel all that. The regret. They feel the shame, confusion, the obsession. This isn't weakness. It's something that I like to call competitive grief, is what it is. They are struggling because they want to compete, and they're grieving because they can't, you know what I'm saying, against the person who gave them that loss. So, big picture, man, when it comes to Canelo and Terence Crawford, look, Canelo's just dealing with something he's not used to. He lost control. Crawford had the control. He had the glow. Like, what's that shit, man? Enter the Dragon? Not Enter the Dragon. I forgot the name of that shit. But Bruce Leroy, he got the glow. Or like Juice, man. You got the juice, man. You got the juice now, man. Crawford had all that. And Canelo's dealing with losing control, losing his image, the loss of the narrative, loss of closure. And Crawford retiring. That's what Crawford wanted to do. You can't blame him. But he makes it permanent. Crawford freezes the story and removes redemption. And I think that's why Canelo continues to talk, because he wants that rematch with Crawford bad, boy. But there wasn't a clause in the contract. And Crawford retired with no intentions on returning to the ring. So Canelo should have protected himself with a rematch clause. I think he should stop making the excuses. Just understand a smaller man really wasn't that small of a guy. He was a guy who moved up in weight, put on functional mass, had a plan, had a strategy, and it worked. And Canelo's going to have to fight fights that he really doesn't want to fight just because of the contract he has with Turkey and to make that big money. So the loss against Crawford is going to haunt him for a long time. So this isn't just boxing. It's ego, identity, pride, and national pressure coming together for a big collision. That being said, y'all keep cool. Canelo's a good fighter. Crawford's a solid fighter. But the reality is Crawford's done. And can you blame him? Anyway, good luck to Canelo on whatever he does next. But that Mbilli fight ain't easy. I'll tell you that much. That is not an easy fight. And we'll see if Canelo's still checked in. Because who knows what he's going through mentally, just having taken a loss to a guy who many people felt he should have lost against. So it is. He should have won against. Anyway, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.